Hey, it's Maria Delzat from Inspired Eating. I'm a registered dietitian that specializes in intuitive eating, and I have a health at every size approach. Back in May, I shared with you an initial consult that I had with one of my clients. Well, now that it's mid July, I wanted to share with you some bits and pieces of follow ups that we've had together. So if you're interested in hearing how Amber has progressed in her journey, take a listen. First of all, the feedback I got from your initial consult was extremely positive. I can't speak for
Really?
you, but just so many people, speaking of being able to relate to others, the outreach of people saying, I feel the same way. It was extremely positive, and so I just want to thank you again for being open and sharing your experience with others because you touched people from all over the country. I just wanted to let you know
Oh,
that.
oh my goodness. I'm I'm so over the moon, elated, happy to hear that. That is incredible. And thank you so much for having me on. Looking through my journal, one thought of the day I had almost immediately after our first meeting was, is stepping on the scale today going to change the way I view myself right now? And that is when I was initially struggling with, is my worth wrapped around the number I see on the scale? And yes, it
Mm,
was. So
mm,
that is when I took that courageous step and I said, no more stepping on the scale for a while until I can appreciate every single thing about my body that I would usually be like, oh my goodness, look at that roll over there. Oh my
mhm,
goodness, I don't,
mhm,
not that I would have a six pack of abs, but look, I don't have a six pack of abs. Ugh. Just
mhm,
every little
mhm,
nuance that I had told myself that diet culture has told me that I am not worthy of appreciating my body.
mhm.
And so that was really hard. But I've
Yes.
noticed, but I also talked about it with John, and he was just like, if you're ready to step on the scale, you're going to be ready to step on the scale. And I was like, I think I'm ready. Yeah, I think
Mhm,
I'm ready tomorrow. Yeah, I just want to
mhm.
see what's going on, how it's going. Yeah.
And so again, it's baby steps, right? And it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
liking it to the tracker where you've mentioned that you weren't using it to track macros or calories, but making sure
Yes.
that you're getting enough. There's still that sense of
Oh,
I
did you know?
want to. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Did you
That's
know
okay.
I'm not longer doing that?
We're going to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
I want to hear all about it. I want to hear all about it. So hold that thought.
Okay,
I
okay.
have it down. um, so there's still that sense of unease and okay, I still have to step on the scale because I need to know what's going on.
Mm,
There's still that unrest there that you don't trust whatever is happening is right for you. You're still not going by the way that you feel or how you believe you are. You still are looking for some kind of validation, that exterior
yes.
validation. And
Mm-hmm.
that's fine, like I said, for you to make as much progress as you did in like 2 weeks is incredible, Amber. Seriously, I don't
Oh,
want to
thank you.
to you know and
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 go
and that
ahead.
is scary. Like people think I it's a very scary thing to let go of rules and just restrictions because there's this trust isn't there. We think we're told that we need these rules in place because if we're not there, it's going to be chaos. and
Mm,
and if there's chaos, that means we're automatically going to gain weight. Not that there's anything wrong with gaining weight, but we have this fear. But it's a very black and white way of thinking. If I let myself go, I'm going to gain weight. Well, that's not logical. That's not what happens. You're
so, yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
And really, and take that into thought when
Mhm.
you're doing your work and you're going about your day. Not
Mm.
once on your values list did you say, I really value my body size, or I value a smaller body, or just what I look like. That's not there. And so
Mm.
why are you pursuing something that's not important to you?
Mm.
All it does is distract you from the things that you hold most strongly in your life.
I think
About the tracking app. Tell me about how that's been going for you.
Okay, so it's going really well. And I am so proud of myself. I'm going to toot my own horn.
Toot
So
toot all
after
the way.
toot, toot, toot. So when you and I finished our call,
Mhm.
I made a choice to not log my dinner that day. And I was just like, okay, just going to see how it feels. And it felt really good. I was like, huh, I know what I ate. I feel good. I'm not going to log it. And I'm just going to see how I feel not logging the next day. So I didn't log the next day at all. And I was just like, this is empowering. Like
Mm,
listening to what I am or enjoying what I'm eating, taking in what I'm eating, not worrying about like, okay, this yogurt has blah, 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 you know. And instead of viewing that yogurt as a calorie, I view it as it has a smooth texture. It tastes like strawberries. It's almost a silky like
I
texture.
love
So,
that.
so just trying to come up with more adjectives about my food instead of
Yes.
it's this. It's nothing but calories. And also, I deleted the app, I think, the next full day of not tracking anything. And I was just like, oh, hallelujah.
That's huge, Amber. That is awesome. I mean, it really is.
Oh, thank you. It's
I mean,
been it's been a work in progress because I think since we met in June, cyber, of course,
mhm.
through Ginger Runner, it literally did plant a seed, but I never allowed it to flourish. And then you got on again, and I was just like, okay, I think this person's trying to tell me something.
Those automatic negative thoughts and the self-reflection and all of that, but as you're going about your the next couple weeks is to put together a list of those rules or guidelines that you tell yourself, if you're
Mm,
still listening to them or even if they're lingering or still in your head, because again you could be giving yourself permission to eat that pizza, but
mm-hmm,
still in the back of your head there could be emotional restriction and feelings of, oh, I don't know about this, or just some
mm,
kind of little whispers. And I would just be curious, and sometimes it takes people a long time to come up with these rules, or it's a case where they thought they had two or three, but because they've brought an awareness to it, it's like, oh my gosh, I have like 14, 15, 16 things that I tell myself that I can only eat if XYZ happens, or if I do eat this, I have to do this. And it just brings an awareness. And it could be a case where, um, if you aren't ready to share that with me, this can be something that we save for not next time, but the time after that. There's no for this whole all these sessions, Amber, I want you to go at your own pace. I don't want you to
mm-hmm,
feel rushed.
mm-hmm.
I don't want you. I want you to feel like you can take your time and really uh, just pick through all of. My hope is that with that aha moment that you have, you can relax into who you are and trust. Or it's going back to that trust piece that your just your values will carry you through, and that is ultimately what health is.
I think you said something that I never thought about, which was instead of, well, not instead of, but just also adding I am to that sentence. I've
Mm.
never thought about it that way, like being my own individual person. That's really,
Mm.
yeah.
Elaborate on that, like, so we can really nail this down so that you can continue to reflect on that. So it's I so like finish the sentence. I am an individual. What struck you?
I think what struck me was when you always grow up, you want to aspire to be like your parents, you know?
Mm.
And so you grow
Mhm.
up, but then at the same
Mhm.
time, you still want to reflect what your parents have taught you over the years.
Absolutely. Mhm. Mhm.
Hold on.
Sure. Take your time. Take your time. Take your time.
Yeah. Um, but I know I am a strong person and I am a healthy person,
Mhm.
no matter what anybody views me as.
Mhm.
And it's just really cool to it's really empowering, and like that aha moment that you mentioned where you said, I am
Mm-hmm.
And then you fill in the blank. I just never thought about it that way.
Mm. And that could be, an exercise to work on
Yeah.
is making a page of I ams. You started doing it. You started doing it in. I've been saving your emails. I've been making
I save
notes.
yours too.
Oh, good. but you were saying, I'll have to find it. But you were saying I
Oh,
am
yes.
strong. I
Yes.
am. I think you said. I'll have to find it. But just even finishing that sentence, going through and remembering, and we can still strive to be like our parents because we still take the qualities that we see from them, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously you've turned into a great person, so that's not nothing, right? We have to acknowledge that it's you've grown up to be a strong, confident, capable, able woman, and that was with help with your parents.
Right.
And we can acknowledge what we.
It's not a short-term journey. And I basically just said that I've gone through a lot of trauma with my health in following these arbitrary rules. So to think that this is going to be a quick fix is not going to get me anywhere. So I basically said, this is going to be a journey. And there's going to be days where I'm not going to feel amazing about myself, but there's going to be days where I'm like full steam ahead. I feel so good about what's going on. And I just want to thank you for really opening my eyes up to a lot of rules that I used to put on myself. Like, for example, I was in the grocery store yesterday and I was like, should I pick this up for my dessert or should I pick that up? And I almost picked up the other one thinking, well, it's lower in calories. It's better for me. And then I caught myself. I was like, wait,
Mm.
that's diet culture. That's not what I really want anyway. So I picked up the other thing and it was ice cream and it was wonderful.
That's huge.
But it's incredible how just that one little thought almost made me go for something I didn't even want in the first place because it was
Mm.
lower in calories.
Mm.
Incredible.
So amazing is that you're wholeheartedly hooked and the cool thing is once you identify diet culture and everything that it's done for you, there's no going back, and so you
Mm-hmm.
have to go forward. You will
Mm-hmm.
never have to worry about going backwards or going to a place where you don't want to be anymore because you've seen what that has done for you, and ultimately it it didn't make you arrive to a place where you wanted to be. And so ultimately I think that's what's really cool is that, like you said, some days you'll be going full steam ahead. Some days you might not have a great day, but
Mm-hmm.
you're just going to be. I just think of it as like resting and gathering
Mm-hmm.
strength for the days when you can plow ahead, but you will not be falling backwards.
I know it's almost time to wrap up.
That's
I just
okay.
wanted to say two other things, which
Please.
were even when I was at my thinnest, I was never happy.
Mm.
And the second thing was, I am loving the idea of listening to my hunger instead of ignoring it now, which is so refreshing. Like I used to be like, I just ate a meal and I'm hungry an hour later, and I would try to ignore it. And then now I'm like, if I'm hungry an hour later, I'll go get something to eat and I'll feel so much better and food will no longer be on my mind. And I used to go to bed so hungry because I would run out of, calories or whatever. But now I go to bed and I'm like, I'm actually saying I am full. This is amazing. I'm full. And it, oh my goodness sake, it's that in itself, just saying I'm full when it's time to go to bed is a reward in itself in a great way.
And one thing that I'm really glad that you brought up with your second point, because it's something that I want to shed a little light on. You said, just the powerful effects of listening to your hunger and how that allows
Mm.
you to be just more present. And after ignoring it for so long, we almost become like proud of the fact that we can ignore our hunger. We have this
Yes.
capability, like, oh, I don't need to eat. I can ignore this. And I can't tell you how many people feel a sense of pride that they are able to do that.
Mm.
But the idea that you said I am full, And yeah, just I hate saying keep it up because I know you will, but I just want you to know that I am just so thrilled for you and I'm just really excited.
Thank you. And thank you for hanging in there through my blubbering. And
Oh,
I
come
know
on
you,
now. Don't apologize for
okay,
that or think anything of it. Come on
okay. Oh,
now.
I'm sure I am not the first, but thank you
Oh,
for just hanging in there with me while I worked out those emotions.
absolutely.
Never,
Always.
never go into these calls thinking, I'm going to cry this time.
Oh, no, no. That just means it's important to you, right?
Oh,
And it's a
yes.
release and it's
Yeah.
just telling and it just goes to show this is how much emotion and
Mm,
it takes energy to hold that in. You and again, we're here to
mm.
save your energy to put forth good instead of holding it in. So don't even worry about it.
I just
Okay.
remembered. Okay, so I threw away the scale, as you saw.
That was huge, man. Oh
It's
my
really cool.
gosh.
It's really cool.
Mm.
It's tucked away in its own little out of sight, out of mind spot. So I no longer use it, and it's just like, ee! And then last week or 2 weeks ago, shortly after our last call, I was
Mhm.
going through some really challenging times, just with body image and
Mm.
that was hormonal 100%, just
Mhm.
everything going
Mhm.
on. And I
Mhm.
was just like, oh my gosh, I just feel so fluffy and yada, yada, yada. But I was so proud of myself at the end because I didn't lean into past experiences by going back to tracking in any shape or form. I just
Mm.
followed what my body was saying, and I came away with going, oh my gosh, I can do this. I can actually do this. I mean, if I can go through all those hormonal changes and come away with saying to myself, I didn't have to rely on one single tracking app telling me how to eat. Okay, we're making progress. This is really
Wow.
cool. Yeah.
That is so powerful, Amber. Oh my gosh, rather than just being like, "Oh no, I don't like what's going on.
Yes.
I need something else to take control."
Yes.
You're letting yourself just be.
It was so hard on like
Wow.
day 1, 2, and
Mhm.
even 3. I was just by day.
And I love that you said that it's opening more things up for you. It's opening more doors, I believe you said.
Yeah.
More doors, just the flexibility. And it's funny because so often the diet mentality has us living in this black and white world where
Mm-hmm.
it's all or none, yes or no, good or bad, and
Mm-hmm.
living in a space that's gray is
Mm-hmm.
really uncomfortable for a lot of people because we don't know, is this right, is this wrong, am I doing it right, and in
Mm-hmm.
living in that gray makes the world more colorful because you know,
Yes.
right, because you're getting more experiences, you're getting more doors open to you, there's more flexibility, more emotions, more sensations, and so it's an interesting way to look at it. Yes, that gray is not black and it's not white, but it's depending on how you look at it. Rather, it's we're living in a whole bunch of different colors, and that's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
And that you're starting to see that with, you know, letting yourself be who you are and trusting, you know, who what your body is meant to do and who you're supposed to be, and that's just so empowering, just so awesome, Amber. So it making it more about the food. It was about the experience. It was about
Mm-hmm.
going out, and I know that you and I shared a similar experience this past week of going out to
Yes.
dinner with our partner. And I don't know about you, Amber, but that experience was just so much fun to just be,
Yes.
to have somebody bring me food,
Oh
take
my
it
goodness.
away, like
Yes. Oh my
it was what
gosh.
we listened to live music, like it was
Oh, that's fun.
so lovely. It was just so nice, and I was
Yeah.
sitting there thinking and talking to my husband Tad about it and being like, it makes me so sad that an experience like going out to eat can be so stressful for people rather than
Oh,
just enjoying the experience as a whole, you know?
yes. I used to do that. get caught in that, oh my goodness, what am I going to
Mhm.
eat? I have to look at the nutrition menu before I go out so that,
Mhm.
the.
Really great segue, Amber, into I wanted to talk about the concept of fullness
Oh,
and
yes.
talk a little bit more about that. And oftentimes that feeling of fullness can manifest in those symptoms. And there's a misconception that feeling full means that I ate too much rather than I'm full. And I find that with the diet mentality, people who have been watching what they've been eating and just monitoring it, that they never get to the point where they feel full unless it's in a chaotic way of eating, like after a time of
Mm,
restriction. So that
mhm.
when they do feel full on a regular basis, it means to them that they ate too much rather than I just feel full and it being a neutral feeling.
I cannot believe you brought this up because that is just something I started recognizing a couple days ago. I've
Okay.
always been a clean plate eater. I don't know where I picked
Mm,
that up.
mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just watching my dad, to be honest. Maybe
Yes,
that's all.
absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I don't remember if my parents ever said like you gotta clean all your plate or before you can have dessert. I don't think they ever said that, but for some reason I do have it ingrained that you got to eat all the food on your plate and then you can go and have dessert. But
Mm-hmm.
just the other day we had some sloppy joes at home and I wasn't hungry enough to finish it, but I wasn't overly full. But the old part of me would have said, you got to finish all this food because it's wasteful. But the
Mm-hmm.
new mentality I'm going into is, am I getting too full to where it could be uncomfortable? Am I at a great point right now to stop and think it's okay to leave the food behind? And that's kind of that transition I'm going into of it's okay to leave food behind. It's not wasteful. It's actually more harmful to you. And it's just something I'm trying to still work through.
Mm, yes. And there's a lot of different factors that can get in the way
Yeah.
of experiencing fullness. And actually, and I made a list
Mm.
of things that get in the way of experiencing fullness. And number one on my list, Amber, is being part of the Clean Plate Club.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, how can I recognize with that? Yes,
And
absolutely.
and and the reason being is because you're paying more attention to if you finished everything, not how you feel. And so people
Mm.
who have constantly, and this does begin from a young age. I remember I think about it all the time. I was in grade school. I went to a Catholic school, and I remember sitting in the cafeteria, and I was the only one in there because I didn't finish my lunch. And they told
Oh,
me that,
geez.
I know, they told me I couldn't go out to recess unless I finished my lunch, and I'll never ever forget that. I had really bad anxiety even in grade school, and sometimes I got really nervous and I was afraid to eat because I thought I was going to be sick. That was a big fear of mine. And so, talk about anxiety producing on so many different levels.
That's terrible,
I
though.
know, I know.
Oh,
I think about it all the time, like, oh my goodness, like how that stays with you, like I'm,
yes.
25 years later, I'm still thinking about that. So, that clean plate mentality,
Mm.
it really gets you into the mindset of, paying attention to what you're seeing and not reflecting in and how am I feeling. So,
Whereas before, when I
mhm,
was so hungry, even after
mhm,
like eating all the containers and yada, 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 I would be like, why am I still so hungry? And I would go to bed
mm,
hungry because that's what you're quote unquote supposed to do.
mm.
No, 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 no.
And yep, and exactly, and as far as what you're supposed to be feeling, my last couple of things that get in the way of experiencing fullness are things like portion sizing and food tracking, which
Mm,
I know that you have experience with as well, and that
mm-hmm.
is telling you, what that's telling you what's supposed to keep you full versus what actually keeps you full, right? And
Yeah.
it is so confusing
Mm,
mentally and physically to understand, wait a minute, I ate this, I'm supposed to be full, and rather than
mm,
honoring, what actually keeps you full. And also understanding that there's a psychological fullness, which is more satisfaction, which we haven't talked about that concept yet, but I want to get to,
mm.
versus volume and sustenance. Like, for example, you eat a high fiber meal and you feel very full, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you can feel hungry an hour or two later.
Mm-hmm.
So recognizing that there's fullness is on a spectrum, but it's always a neutral feeling. Like whether you're stuffed or not, it's a neutral feeling. Just um, there's no perfect level of fullness. It's okay to be hungry again, and it's okay to eat again. It's also okay to recognize that when you do go past normal fullness, to give yourself permission and let you feel that, because hell, we all go past the point of comfortable fullness. I mean, I don't I think I go I mean sometimes I go through a couple days where I notice, okay, I've eaten past the point of comfortable fullness the past several dinners, and then sometimes I don't, like I go through a week, and then of course you have holidays,
Oh
family
yeah. Oh
times,
yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
just acknowledging that it's a spectrum. And also sometimes you have to overeat for practical reasons.
Mm.
um, Sometimes we can't eat intuitively, and this is one thing that I want to make sure that we go over, but we have to eat for logical and rational reasons, meaning if we can't eat for 2 more hours, and even though you're not hungry right now or you feel full, but you know that you're not eating for many many hours, say you're traveling right now and you don't want
Mm.
to partake in any of the food or drink on an airplane,
Mm-hmm.
perfectly rational, logical, that's not restriction, that's living during a pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you may decide to eat a very large lunch or eat past the point of comfortable fullness because you know your next meal isn't for quite a long time. And so recognizing that there's a time and a place where first of all, it's always okay to overeat, but also understand that it comes with some rational and logical thinking as well. Not really a quiz, but an assessment. And like if you answered one or more to any of those,
Mm.
and
Mm-hmm.
any of those things that I put up, I mean, none of this stuff matters, right? Because this is the stuff that builds a foundation for a healthy life. Branched chain amino acids, I mean, are you going to be thinking about that when you're 60, 70, 80 years old? Like, who really cares about that? Maybe if you're a top tier elite athlete like Shalane Flanagan, but how many of us are Shalane Flanagan? You know?
No kidding, right?
Sorry, that was another rant, but I
I
hope.
like your rants because you and I
Okay.
could go on this forever.
Yes,
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 you and I share same passions. I totally understand.
yes,
No, I
yes.
asked for the
Okay,
validity because I knew you would answer truthfully. And
okay.
it's just something that I've been thinking about a lot lately is like, is this honestly something that I need in my life? Like, is it providing anything other than the company taking my funds?
Yeah, and like the stress about, like, honest to goodness, Amber, like I take my running very seriously. It is part of who I am. It's part of my career. Do I
Hmm.
spend any time thinking about branched chain amino acids?
No.
Diddly squat, like
Yeah.
zero. You know why? Because that would ruin my life. I I choose, like, that is not a value of mine. If I had to do that, I would not enjoy running. I would
Yeah.
not enjoy doing what I'm doing. So at the very basics, of the very core, it comes down to your values,
Mm.
but it also comes down to, like, is this necessary? Are you going out for the Olympic team and you live, breathe, and die performance? Chances are most of us are no. And
Right.
so what's so and then also.
Amber has made so much progress over the last 2 months and continues to grow every day. I hope her story inspires you as much as it inspires me. If you're interested in talking to me about your own relationship with food, you can go to my website, mariadelzotrd.com, and schedule a free discovery phone call. I'm here for you and would love to talk with you.